In a remote training ground north in Spain, NATO forces from 12 member states launched an hour-long sustained attack on a large mock-up town. It was a huge demonstration put on as part of Exercise Trident Juncture of not only land capability, but also air and special forces.
We see a new reality surrounding NATO. To the south, we see instability, violence, turmoil in the Middle East, in North Africa, and this is close to NATO borders. It's at the borders of a NATO ally, Turkey. So this is something which we have to address. At the same time, we see a more assertive Russia to the east, being responsible for aggressive actions in Ukraine, annexing Crimea, and destabilizing eastern Ukraine.
While relations between NATO and Russia are currently strained, Russia was among several OSCE countries to send a team of observers to attend Trident Juncture. The exercise has seen 36,000 troops from 28 allies and 9 partner nations trained together across Italy, Spain and Portugal. Troops came from land, sea, air and special forces. Various multinational aircraft patrolled the skies over Italy, while in Portugal, British landing crafts positioned US Marines, Portuguese and British Royal Marines to lead a beach assault.
The change in security environment emphasises everything that we're doing. So it emphasises the importance of our training. It emphasises the importance of working together across all our nations. And it emphasises the importance of the capabilities that we offer.
One of the reasons for holding Trident Juncture was to certify the command of NATO's Quick Reaction Force, the NATO Response Force, for 2016. Next year, Spain will lead the spearhead of this force, known as the VJTF, which will have some elements ready to move within 2 to 3 days.
Bueno, yo creo que el mensaje que tenemos que transmitir y que creo que es el que la gente debería entender es que nosotros nos estamos preparando para vencer a cualquier enemigo potencial que quiera atacar nuestra forma de vida, nuestra gente, nuestros territorios, nuestra forma de entender el mundo, que es lo que compartimos los países de la Alianza Atlántica.
Over Spain, 500 US and Spanish paratroopers dropped from the sky, having travelled directly from the United States. It was one of the final acts of the month-long exercise intended to send a message to any adversary that NATO's ready to protect its allies. For NATO Channel, this is Mel Preen.
If you look at the maritime, it's one of the services we have that will work together with land and air. The advantage of maritime, they can sail the whole world. They are very agile. They can bring effects from the sea to the land. You can transport over big distances, soldiers and equipment. Also the maritime has an air force part in it, being able to use planes from the ships and bring the effects to wherever you want.
NATO is operating 24/7 around the clock. For example, Gdynia, the flagship for Group 1 earlier in the year, was involved in the humanitarian crisis in the Mediterranean. We do counter-terrorism, making sure that our sea lanes are clear, mine countermeasures that we're doing, all the way up to a full-sail amphibious assault onto a beachhead. We also are able to do exercises to practice and maintain those special relationships that we've built up over the last 70 years.
Sending NATO Mine Countermeasures Group 1 is a readiness group immediately available for NATO to run against any underwater threat from sea mines. 11 different nations, 11 different ships, capabilities, all working together with one same goal, and that is to keep our waters clear.
The beginning of 2017 has seen the arrival of more than 4,000 troops in countries along NATO's eastern flank. The movement is part of the biggest reinforcement of NATO's collective defence in a generation and is known as Enhanced Forward Presence.
Enhanced Forward Presence is a demonstration that NATO understands the risks of our region and is reacting proportionately. protecting us all, because we know that defense is indivisible.
Split into 4 multinational battle groups, each consisting of approximately 1,000 soldiers with equipment and armoured vehicles, the deployment sees 3 of the battle groups stationed in the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, and 1 in Poland. But why is the deployment necessary?
We have a neighbour who does not respect its own signature on international agreement, who is more and more openly asking for a change in the international value-based world order.
They still think that Baltic states and Poland are supposed to be the territories of influence to Russia, and that obsession that these territories have been lost to NATO and to the West is still very deeply in their consciousness and mind. And after occupation of Crimea and what's happening in Ukraine, it is clear that this mentality is still predominant in this country's leadership.
Agreed at the NATO summit in Warsaw last year, the battle groups are combat ready and will train and operate alongside host nation forces. But just how serious is the threat?
We don't see any imminent threat against any NATO ally, but we see a more assertive Russia. A Russia which has significantly increased its military presence in this region, which has invested heavily in defense military for many, many years. A Russia which has been willing to use military force against a neighbor, against Ukraine, and also against Georgia.
The Baltic states, which have large Russian-speaking populations and also share a border with Russia, were occupied during the Soviet Union era, before regaining their independence in 1991.
From very small age, you felt repressed and occupied. This was exactly how it was growing up in the Soviet Union. I had to live with this internal feeling that it's all wrong and I cannot do anything about it.
We do see the militarization of Kaliningrad, we do see aggressive exercises. All this signals very clear demonstration of muscles, of posture, demonstration of aggressive attitude, and we need to respond appropriately.
So who is where? There are 15 initial troop contributing nations. In Estonia, the battle group is led by the United Kingdom with a deployment of 800 and further troops from France. In Latvia, the Canadians lead with 450 soldiers, reinforced with troops from Albania, Italy, Poland, Slovenia and Spain. In Lithuania, the Germans lead with 450 troops, while Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands and Norway also contribute forces. And in Poland, the United States leads with 1,000 troops, along with contributions from both Romania and the United Kingdom.
People do see soldiers from enhanced forward presence, our British and French allies. They also see the Baltic Air Police mission airplanes flying over their heads on exercise or scrambling to look at the planes which are violating our airspace. These are all visible signs that we are protected.
The 4 battle groups will deploy on a rotational basis, with more nations expected to contribute forces in the future. They will remain in place as long as required.
We need to face this reality and to adapt to it, of course, only with deterrence position. No threats, no any kind of aggressive reactions towards our neighbors, just commitment of deterrence and self-defense if necessary.
We don't seek confrontation. We don't want a new Cold War. Actually, we seek dialogue with Russia, but we have to send a clear message to avoid or prevent any misunderstanding and any miscalculation. NATO stands as one for all for one. That's the best way to prevent conflict.